the aftermath of the new Pope being selected, I just want to talk about a couple of stories that were on my mind over the last few days. One or two of them going back to a couple weeks ago before I took my sabbatical for a couple of weeks. One such story was how the Stockholm City Council had rejected a demand by the U.S. Embassy to end DEI programming. What was stunning about that is apparently the Trump administration has been telling several different European countries that they must comply with how the Trump administration views DEI. Now, no matter what your opinion is of DEI, you have to admit that it's truly stunning that this administration would try to coerce other countries into following along with what they want. It's truly another way that the Trump administration is trying to get everyone else in line with what Donald Trump desires. This gentleman is Stephen Miller, whom you probably already know, and I've been reading a couple of stories about him this week, and some of the things he says and believes are truly unnerving. I spent a lot of time on my channel talking about Trump being the Antichrist, of course, but if the Bible ever spoke about there being an assistant Antichrist, Stephen Miller might get my nomination for that. He just puts forth a dark vibe when I hear him speak or even just look at his picture. Today there was a story that he said Trump is actively looking at suspending habeas corpus in order to have another tool against illegal immigration. And you can be sure that Mueller is in Trump's ear all the time, suggesting ways to remove illegal immigrants from this country. And it wouldn't surprise me if Mueller was also the driving force behind the efforts to have the Afrikaners, who are the white minority group from South Africa, come into the country. And there are reports that that is going to start happening next week. There was a story a couple weeks ago about how Idaho is now using firing squads as the main execution method, and it just made me wonder how long it will be before guillotines, or guillotines, as some people say, will be considered as an execution method. We seem to be inching closer and closer to the day when capital punishment will include beheadings. I have received tons and tons of comments about this guy, whose name is Abdullah Hashim. He has claimed to be anything from the Islamic Mahdi to the successor of Jesus Christ, the true and only legitimate Pope, as well as Muhammad and Simon Peter. Lots and lots of Christians have made YouTube videos about how he is the Antichrist, and I haven't really touched on this because the truth is that he's simply a cult leader with a small following. He has about 200 people right now who have dedicated their lives to him. However, there was a superb, in-depth story about him and one of his associates on The Guru a couple weeks ago entitled Meet the Doomsday Cult Taking Over the World, and it goes into a great deal of background on him and the claims surrounding that whole cult. I'll put a link down below so you can read it in full, but it's well worth reading. But to answer all the questions I've gotten, no, this guy is not the Antichrist. He has said many, many crazy things. He is, in fact, a cult leader, and it's a dangerous cult, make no mistake about that, but he is not the Christian Antichrist. But it is one of those Jim Jones type of cults that is growing right in front of us. Another story is about One America News Network, and I don't know if you ever watched OAN. I did a few times in the past, not so much anymore. But the story that caught my eye about One America News Network is they're now going to be providing programming for the Voice of America. So America now has its very own Pravda, where the Voice of America will spread positive news about America and how great and wonderful Donald Trump is to the rest of the world. And this really isn't a surprise because the White House press briefing is now filled with pro-Trump influencers who ask fawning questions and talk about how great the Trump administration is. It's all about glorifying America, and of course, when you glorify America, you're glorifying the man behind America, Donald J. Trump. A couple of videos ago, I posted this image for just a few seconds, but didn't get a chance to really talk about it. This was from the White House prayer event a couple of weeks back, And I think this is so symbolic of what's happening with Trump and Christianity. You'll notice all the people there praying, with Paula White immediately behind Trump dressed in yellow, perhaps representing the sun god, or gold, I don't know. But the preacher in front, kneeling down in his prayer, may not have realized what this looks like. It looks like he's actually worshiping Donald Trump. You look at Trump, you see him just sitting at that desk, staring forward like he's absorbing all of this praise coming his way. Meanwhile, everyone else is singing or praising God, the guy in front kneeling before him, and Trump just sitting there, probably thinking something along the lines of, yes, I deserve all of this praise. I found this picture very disconcerting, and I haven't really seen anyone else talk about it, but I don't know what your opinion is, but I think it's one of the more disturbing pictures I've seen in quite a long time. Another picture of Trump I saw, which I actually found a bit humorous, was how Trump was given a cross on Greek Independence Day. And at first glance, I actually saw this, and it seemed to me that someone was holding up a cross to him, and Trump was getting weaker, as if they were repelling whatever force was in him. And finally, I want to talk about this video that was going around a couple of days ago of a man who filmed a strange circle in the sky, and just how eerie it looks. Now, a number of scientists have chimed in that this was almost definitely an explosion of some kind, and he filled the very end, but it just looks so creepy that I wanted to show the image, and I also think that this guy who recorded it seems like a likable enough fellow. So here's that video, what he captured on his phone, and I thank you for watching, and I'll be back soon with another video.
So, can somebody tell me what the heck is this? And I'm not using no app. I am on County Road 2 in between State Avenue and K32. And I have never seen anything like that in my life. And it appears that little black stuff is falling down the center of it. That is just weird. And then just to let you all know, I'm not kidding here. This is real. Sorry, that's my phone doing that because it's a piece of crap Motorola. But just so you can see, it's me. And I'm live. And it's starting to dissipate. Look at that. Tell me that is not freaking weird. I have no idea. I've been recording it. It was a dark black circle, and now it's dissipating. I mean, it looks like somebody blew a big old smoke ring.
It looks like it's smoke. My first thought back at a distance was, is it a congregation of birds?
Yeah, that's what I thought. But then, because it looked like everything was falling through the center, but now it's just like totally dissipating. But I ain't never seen nothing like that in my life. I had to pull over and record it. So, hey, just so everybody knows, I'm legit. Somebody pulled over and talked to me. I'm not talking to myself.